clarinet. In this case, clarinet will be overblowing this fingering, which is fingers 1, 2, 3, and that one down, thumb key, and fingers 5 and 6 down, so leaving open that one, and overblowing. Recorder example, using exactly the same fingering for no particular reason, it just seems to work okay. So fingers 1, 2, 3 and thumb are down, and fingers 5 and 6 are down, 4 is open. This is the normal tone with some vibrato. I'm going to try and avoid vibrato, so that's the modulation shaking you hear. Those modulations are produced by the mouth or the breath. I'm going to try and avoid those though in this next example where it transitions. There's a very clear low note transition into the higher state, and then a transition out again into a single pitch on the top. Can I go the other direction? Yeah. With the recorder, because it's a relatively simple system, it can be possible to accurately land on the more unstable vibration regimes, so within the transition. So there's much less hysteresis involved in this because it's a simpler system than the reed of the clarinet, which, as far as I know from the literature, is more nonlinear than a simple breath system. Okay, some cello stuff. So first, this is the cello strings normally. This is the lowest C string, the thick one down here. I can vary the tone of the instrument by moving the bow closer or further from the bridge. It's still the same fundamental spectrum, but, well, still the same spectrum, but I get less of the fundamental and more of the upper harmonics. And you can hear that there is also, well, it's kind of a filtering technique rather than a transition state. It is possible with overpressure and other tricks to make changes, but not very much. The vibrating string is quite stable. Etc. So it can be possible sometimes with finger placement to find sometimes harmonics that will sound at the same time together, so a kind of multiphonic effect. But these are extremely delicate and difficult to find. And often quite unstable as well. There's an example of one. what I'm more interested in is using these little plastic preparations, so something that sits between two strings, and because it's in between the two strings, any vibrations on one string are coupled into the other string, and you get interferences from those, and that can cause considerable instability. So the two strings in question are the low C and the G, these two strings here, and if I connect them, the position of this has a huge effect. So if I position it there, if I position it here, you can hear instantly the instabilities. In terms of transitions, I'll just play for an example. Two things are very clear. One is that the strings are interacting. I can demonstrate that simply by putting my fingers on this string so that it's muted, it can't sound, and hear the change. You can instantly hear that it changes the character. So from the point of the bridge up to where the preparation is, positioning the bow in different places, unlike with the standard string, you get very different effects. You can hear there that there's a kind of multiphonic, there are multiple pitches and noise components. There's more or less a single pitch, but you can also hear that there's a kind of beating, there are two close pitches. There's a very low pitch, which is actually lower than the length of the full string, so presumably that's coming from interference. So in terms of transitions, it's much less simple on this setup to demonstrate a transition from a stable state to an unstable or metastable state. The turbulence seems almost continuous. There's also a hysteretic effect. If I continue bowing, the strong pitch will stay in position. Oh, also there's an up and down effect. The bow is made from horsehair, and studies of the horsehair have shown that the fibers of the hair point in one direction. So bowing in this direction gives a slightly different stick-slip mechanism than bowing in this direction, as you can hear. And under normal conditions, the difference between an up bow and a down bow isn't that significant. It can be a little bit, but under these much less stable conditions, it's very, very apparent that bowing in different directions activates a different vibration regime. I'll make another attempt to get a transition. Histeretic effect means that I should, now having stopped it, be able to get a different pitch. But whatever pitch is currently strong will maintain until the entire system is stopped. Chaotic terms, there are definite attractor systems. You can hear that this particular system is tending towards one particular pitch, but that it is possible to undermine this with changes in bow position, speed, pressure, etc. Actually, this one's pretty much locked in. If I change position slightly. I can get a wider range of things.